What is up, everybody? Glenn, Red Dog Motorsports. We're back out in the shop. This week's video, we're going to be working on the rat rod, Tickle Pickle. Got just a couple of little things to deal with. I want to change out the fuel injectors. These have been in here forever. They're working, but they were reasonably priced. So we're going to pull the intake off, get to the injector rails down here. Shouldn't be a big deal, but you never know. We strip out a fastener or something like that, we could end up in a serious bunch of hurt. And of course they don't make these intakes, so I would end up having to do a whole new thing. Hopefully it doesn't go that way. Otherwise, I'm having a headlight problem. These rigs originally didn't come with a fuse, and they just had circuit breakers on them. And my headlight, the circuit breaker on the headlight switch is old, and it keeps getting hot and shutting everything off. So I'm going to switch it over to a relay system. Something I probably should have done from the get-go, but didn't. So we'll fix that now. I'm adding in a couple of interior lights just so that I can see in the dark. I just got me some simple little LEDs. They just screw in, so we'll put a couple of holes in the bottom of the dash. Wire them in. They're just going to be wired to a switch. I'm not even going to do door switches. At least I don't think so. Maybe I get spunky. We'll see. And then I think we're going to do some air vents down here. When I'm at speed, I'm not getting enough airflow underneath the vehicle and through the radiator. Doesn't necessarily overheat, but it definitely runs hot. And it's either an airflow problem or a volume problem fluid wise. So we're going to start with air. Air is the easiest to deal with. If that doesn't fix it, then I'll have to put a boost pump in it and get more fluid back there, because that means that my regular pump just isn't doing enough. But that's what we're up to, so let's get to it.
At me, I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man. Another nail in my coffin, another nail for me. I gotta look pretty when I go down. Another nail in my coffin, can't you spare one more? I gotta look pretty when I'm knocking down heaven's door. I'm a dead man walking, I'm a dead man walking, I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man walking, I'm a dead man walking, I'm a dead man.
So things are going pretty smoothly, which is a little unexpected. I kind of expected this to be a little bit more difficult, but it's not, so we'll take it. But we've got the basics. The intake is over there. The rails are sitting here. They won't come out until after the fuel rails are off. Little concerned. So here's the fuel rail lines, and they go up behind the alternator. I'm a little concerned the alternator needs to come off so that I can get enough slack. We'll find out here in a minute. And I noticed I've got an oil leak coming out from the intake. I'm wondering if I got it this far apart, if I shouldn't go ahead and pull the intake and seal that back up. I don't know. I guess it'll depend on whether or not I have the proper gaskets over there for the intake, so that may be the deciding factor. If I don't have them, it won't get done, and if I do have them, Yeah, maybe we'll go ahead and do it and pull the intake off and get all that sealed back up. I don't believe it has a vacuum leak, just an oil leak. It could have a vacuum leak, I guess. So, yeah, we'll find out. But first, I'm gonna go take the dog, let her out. She's locked up in her kennel. Maybe I'll take you guys along. She's cuter than I am. Y'all probably like to see her. All right, let's get this done. Alright, so I checked. I do have intake gaskets over there. Probably still need some RTV. I don't think I've got enough, but that means we're going to have to pull the distributor. For that, I'll take the cap off, and then we will mark number one, all that, mark the spot where the distributor is sitting, and then I'll be able to pull it on out. Shouldn't have, well, I'll probably have to go ahead and pull the coil as well. The one I don't want to pull, wish I didn't have to do it, is pulling it's disrupting my water system. It's really kind of a pain in the butt to refill and bleed because I'm a rear radiator system, as we've mentioned before, but that's just the way it is. So, I'm not going to bore you guys with taking the intake manifold off. I'm going to do some cleaning on it. Use the vacuum to try to keep as much dirt from falling in there as possible so I don't have to clean out the valley. And then once we've got it cleaned up, we'll get everything on the bench. I'm going to clean it up really well over there. And then we'll get it reinstalled. I've got a new intake air temperature sensor coming. And we've got a new manifold absolute pressure sensor coming. While they're both working, we've got it taken apart this far. Might as well replace them. The intake air temp sensor is underneath it, and so I might as well get to that one, and then the other one might as well replace it as well. Everything's working, but it wouldn't hurt to do it while we're here working. So let's get on it. All right. We got everything disconnected, so it's time to pull the manifold off and get to work on cleaning. I'm a little concerned. There's a lot of orange RTV on the manifold, that it might have been bent or something at some point, or I should say not bent, but it's not straight, it's warped. That could be concerning. So it shouldn't really be on there that tight if you consider that it's got a leak. If I can get something to, there we go. Yeah, it wasn't on tight at all. So I'm kind of surprised we didn't have a manifold leak. All right, so been working on the injectors. I've got 6 of them replaced already. Working on the last 2. Figured I'd bring you guys in here and show you how these are done. Obviously, different models, makes, cars, all that good stuff is different. On these right here, you can see they got these little clips, and we just need to turn them. They need to turn about 90 degrees. And I have found that if you push down a little bit and use a screwdriver or something, you can get them to move over pretty easily. But we just turn that little lever. Try not to scar anything up. Sometimes I've found too, you know, these are a little bit stuck. That tapping on them works a little better. Whatever you do, don't bend them up. They just got a little lock on them. All right, hold on. About got it. Okay, so the little arm was over here. Now it's over there. And all it is it's just that 90-degree turn, and then you can pull the injectors right on out. Just wiggle them while providing some pressure. And they come out. This one's going to come out without the O-ring. Yep. Yeah, that one did too. Not a big deal. Sometimes they leave the O-ring inside. It's stuck to the aluminum. Right here, see? And you got to pull it out. Don't double stack them. It will give you troubles. All right, so we got that done. Now we need to remove the little clip, the safety clip, retainer, and that you just press it off, just like so. And then I go ahead and just install it immediately on the new one, like so. Just push it. All right, and that's good to go. And now I've already done, I used some of the Parker lube. I lubed up the O-ring already. Make sure that this is aligned so that it's not holding you up. Push it back in. Just a little pressure. And then just make sure the safety's locked down. Like so. Same thing. I just take and push. Install it in the groove. A little push the other direction. All right, and lock her down. All right, that's it. The injectors are replaced. So now what I need to do, I'm going to cover all this up so that I don't get dirt inside the injectors. Going to clean the intake. I've already started cleaning up the valley. We'll get some RTV. We'll get the intake installed. And then tomorrow the parts will show up to do the remainder of the intake. And as far as installing those new sensors, and we'll be back together. But for now, we'll get to cleaning. All right, we got things going back together. Intake is on, torque down. We'll let that cure overnight. I got the runners set in place. They're loose yet, but I now need to put the injectors in here. Press them down into place, get them bolted on, and then I can put the runners or manifold up there. Plenum. This is a plenum, sorry. And then as you can see here, we've got everything lined up on the distributor again. All right, so I can bolt the cap back on it, and then like I said, we'll drop the distributor in place and start running lines again back to where they go. I do have to find I want to find the thermostat. I think maybe it's in one of my storage boxes. It's around here somewhere, but I need to find the thermostat for it so it can be put back in. I've been running just a restrictor, and I'd like to go ahead and put the other one back in it so it'll run at a little bit higher temperature. And hopefully the air ducts fix the cooling problem and it'll maintain that temperature and not be spiking up. But that's where we're at. All right, so I took one of the sets of runners off. It just made it easier to slide in the injectors. I pre-lubed all the O-rings where they go into the intake, and now we're going to look at getting them installed. I did connect the fuel lines first. It was just easier while I could wiggle these around. But now we should be able to just give ourselves a little bit of pressure and pop them in. Just like that. And now you can't see it, but they're all sitting flush down here. We'll install the retainers, these 4 bolts. Those will keep them locked in. And then before I get too terribly far, we'll probably connect the injector lines and turn the key on and just make sure I don't have any leaks. Easier to do it now if I've got a stuck injector or something, and test that prior to getting everything else installed and then having to take it all back off to test it. So here we go. All right, it's all back together. I didn't film a lot of it. It was just tightening bolts. Wasn't really anything exciting. I believe I've remembered everything. So I guess we'll try to fire it up and see. I did replace the sensor that was underneath the plenum there. I still need to replace this one. I'm waiting for it to come in. I haven't installed this little shield. We got the firing order installed. So the only thing I haven't done, I'll have to bleed the coolant system yet, but I typically have to do that when it's hot. So let's hit the key, see what she does. Be hero or zero, one of the two. Look at that, she runs. Sometimes I'm surprised, but at any rate, it wasn't too surprising to have it run. It was pretty straightforward. Well, that's going to wrap up this part of the video. Let me see what else we're going to get into next, all right? All right, guys, so next segment of the video, we are going to work on my airflow issue or cooling issue. Hopefully it's airflow. So we're going to do a little science. I've got some strips cut here. These are just out of a plastic bag. Cotton would be better, but I don't have any, and I don't see the point in purchasing it. But what we're going to use those as telltales to show me what direction the airflow is going. So what I need to find out is at speed, is the air just going underneath my vehicle, or is it coming up and going through the radiator? If it's already coming up and going through the radiator at good velocity, then I've got a volume problem in the pump. But if it's at speed coming and going along just the bottom of the vehicle, it might be actually creating a dead area and causing airflow to go down and out. And that's kind of what I suspect is happening, just because the way my vehicle is built. If you look, I basically got skirted sides all the way down. We've got a big box up here, you know, so this whole area underneath here is basically empty. So if the airflow goes underneath it, it'll create a vacuum in there. I think that's what's happening. So gonna get underneath, we're gonna tie up some of the telltales. We're going to put the camera, not this one, we're gonna put a cheaper camera in there to see if we can video it, and then we're gonna get it out on the road, get up to speed, and I'm also gonna get it up to temp before we get on the road. I need the fans on, so we'll have to get it heated up, get the fans on it to make sure that they're drawn, and then we'll get out on the freeway and see what the telltales do. If they come up and are nice and solid, waving up in the air, going up towards the radiator, then we know that we got good airflow. If they stay straight and just go down along the ground and stay in that stream, then we know we're not getting airflow. And if that's the case, then we need to build some scoops. So let's get to it. All right, so I got the telltales installed. Got the camera installed. I don't really have a good place to get an angle that's going to show all of them, so I'm probably going to have to do this twice. I want one down below, and then we'll get one up on top of the fuel tank, because kind of a step up in there. And maybe I'll get you under there and try to show you. Right now I'm letting everything warm up, and we'll go get a test drive and see what we get. Maybe we'll get some data.
Some chicks up her sleeve, but she took my heart and disappeared. She went up that mountain just like I feared. Come on down from Shaker Mountain, shake for me one more time. Won't you come on down from Shaker Mountain?
All right, so pretty conclusive, I think. The telltales never went up at all. A little bit at lower speeds, but for the most part, they stayed straight. And I think that's basically a sign that we're getting a vacuum created in there, and I'm losing airflow through the radiator. And so I think we can build some scoops and shove more air up into there. But at least that's what my guess is. We'll look to see if we can build some just underneath that get us enough airflow pulling it up from the ground, or if we need to build something from the outside that forces it in. But let's see what we can do. All right, so this is what I'm thinking. So I really don't have, unless I come back towards the back of the vehicle and try to grab the air and then force it up. I think that grabbing it up here is going to be better. Get it up and over the axle, which I know you guys can't see some of this. We may try to change the viewpoint here in a minute, but at any rate, I think we'll try to grab. So I can't go lower than this, because when the frame is on, when I drop it, the frame is on the ground. So from like right in here, and then we'll just give it a good curve, make it go up about like this high, and fill this space in, and hopefully that'll shoot enough air up into the radiator to fix my problem. It's only at highway speeds that I'm having an issue, so I'm hoping that'll be enough. If not, then maybe we have to add one over there on that side. Ouch, I just poked myself in the head. But you can see, hopefully here, so from the side, this is where I'm talking about going, and then maybe one over there if need be. There's the fuel tank right here, and yeah, I don't know, I'd like to get it up over the axle going that way. So let's give it a shot, huh? Right, time for the what was, what is, and what will be. So this is my shield, or my, shouldn't really call it a shield, it's not, we're not shielding anything. It is a diverter, air dam, and it's gonna go in right in here. You can see what we're looking at here, that's my upper mount. I just went cheap. We got some washers welded on there, just welded it straight to the frame and whatnot. And then underneath, just welded a couple of bolts in there. We're going to put some washers on there to keep things steady. I'll get it up in there and show you how it looks. All right, it's in. So you can see we got the top, it's bolted in, and then it just runs on down here. And I got a little bit of a gap down there. I don't know, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. It doesn't touch anything. I fully compressed the suspension. It doesn't touch on the way up, all that good stuff. So hopefully it doesn't make a bunch of noise flopping. It shouldn't. It's got plenty of work in it, whatnot, bead rolling to keep it from flexing. It was just an old piece of scrap I had laying around. So what I'm gonna do, I gotta do a little running around, and I'm gonna go ahead and go do that. And it should have a good mix of freeway driving and some street driving, and we'll see if it gets hot. But hopefully not. Hopefully this keeps everything right where I need it to. Let's go find out. All right, guys, so test drive went okay. It didn't do everything I wanted it to do. It still climbed up into the 215 range. Weather's pretty cool right now, and even though that was extended driving, it looked like it was holding steady. I think that in hotter weather, I would still continue to have more problems than I like. So boost pump it is. There's 5 gallons of fluid in that system. That should be more than enough to cool it with that radiator that's in there. I'm just not, I have a feeling I'm probably cavitating or something. I should have run smaller diameter tubing, but I didn't. And we're not changing that. What we are going to work on is getting the interior lights I'm using installed. So I got a couple of door switches here. It's going to be one in each door. And I am going to switch the ground on these. So this will be connected to the chassis ground. The wire will be connected to the other side. It will go to the negative side of the lights. We'll come into this switch and then back out to the chassis. Power, in this instance, will come from a power source. We'll go down, it will go direct to the red wire on the lights, on both of them, and then just it'll terminate on the second light, so it won't continue on. Now, the reason I'm doing that in this instance is that way I don't have to worry about the amperage going through these little switches. You know, some switches are made or built to deal with the amperages, and some aren't. These are just little plastic housing switches. They're not very robust, so I think the ground is going to be better switched through it. Should still be run through a fuse. I don't know if I'm going to get into a fuse. I got to look and see if I've got a wire back there. Otherwise, I'll just run it through my battery connector, which runs through the main relay and all that. So that's where we're at. So let me get this wired up, and then I'll show you how it all works. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's video. I've got everything done on the rat rod that I intended. Woo, look how dark it got. Hold on. I wanted to show you guys something, but I guess I should finish. So we got the intake and all the injectors done, taken care of. That's good to go. We got our air dam in. Didn't come out the way we wanted, but such is life. I guess we'll do another video when we get a 12-volt boost pump in it. See if that don't fix it. And I got the headlight stuff switched, taken care of. I didn't film that. It just always ends up looking like I'm just laying there, not doing anything, and nobody wants to watch me sleep. And then we did get, and this is why I had the lights off, I got the interior lights wired up as well, the ones I was showing you on the bench. So check this out. They work out real well. Well, they're just tucked up underneath there, and it's enough to be able to see when you're in the vehicle, and that's what I needed. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and we'll catch you on the next one.